And welcome back to the Yes Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. I'm Chris. And welcome back to the Yes Longevity Podcast, where we give you information on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. A little choppy in the beginning here because Facebook has changed the way we do live broadcasts, and hopefully this is going to come out okay. I know it's been a little bit of hassle for me streaming my classes in the morning, but let's see what happens today. I'm Chris, your Yes Fitness, although I'm in my um, family room today. I had it all set up. I've been working on all this lighting and using my phone rather than my computer for this. No microphone, and I can't figure it out on my phone, so I scrambled to go back to the old way, which there's never really an old way. But enough of that babbling. We have a couple of things for you. If you did apply for the sweepstakes, we are going through all the applications right now. We had a ton of applications. We're going through those applications right now to figure out who the two lucky winners are for our Memorial Day meltdown, which hopefully we'll be able to get started. And when we do get started, we want to make sure that we can get it completed by the 4th of July. That's probably a target date right now because it is a 6-week contest and it's a 2-person team contest. And those 2 people who win each get $1,000. And the person with the greatest percent change in body composition will win a 1 year's membership to Yes Fitness, whatever membership they prefer, whether it's a group exercises or private training or semi-private training, whichever one they prefer, it will be available to them for free. But more about that when we get back open again. So it looks like we're going to be closed at least until April 30th. So business as usual. If you're out there and you're not exercising, you need help exercising, let us know, because this podcast today is about exercising, not so much about longevity, but more about exercising and what you can do to make your exercises a little harder. And it's also letting you know that we do remote training. So if someone is interested, if they see this podcast, and obviously we can't get to the gym, or if you're in a location that's not nearby, you've been watching me for a while and you might be located in Meriden or Florida, whatever it may be, we do offer remote training. We have an app. You'll have a program written specifically for you with the equipment you have available to you, and you'll be able to see that program on an app with all the videos. We give some nutrition advice. Obviously, without nutrition, you can't reach your goals. We do some onboarding with Zoom so we can make sure you're all set up properly, and there are live calls to make sure that you're staying accountable for your results. So that is something that we do now. We do some remote training. If you're interested in that, give me a call, 860-673-4293. Or just respond to this podcast. So this is what I have for you today. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to give you some hope, okay? There was a new study published in Medicine and Sports Science and Exercise, and scientists concluded that muscles may remember in ways that will allow us to regain our fitness once we're reopened and we'll start working out again. That's really pretty cool information. Now, we always thought the muscles had muscle memory, and we always had this thought in our mind that if we were working out for a long time, we were to take a month off. It would take us about a month to get back to where we are when we started taking that month off. So the muscles seem to have memory, okay? And they seem to be able to regain that strength that we had when we were training. So for many of us, this crisis, we are stuck at home and not getting the exercise we normally get. And this study should put your mind at ease. The study finds that if muscles have been trained in the past and they seem to develop a molecular memory of working out that lingers through a prolonged period of inactivity. And then once again, when you start training again, the muscle's memory kicks in and it'll speed up the process by which you regain your former muscular strength and size. So that's all really cool information. I mean, that is hot off the press. And For us that have been working out for a long time, and maybe we're not getting able to work out as much as we used to, or we're not able to work out as hard as we used to because of equipment limitations, there is some hope. But I don't want you to sit around knowing that I can regain my strength so I could just, not do anything at all. Let's just wait until, my gym opens up again. And although strength is important, there are so many more benefits to exercise that you don't want to lose out on. So in the meantime, if you need help with a program because your gym closed, or you wanted to start an exercise program, you want to get those benefits of building your immune system, of your endorphins, improving your balance, improving your strength, endurance, flexibility, all those things, contact me, okay? And I would love to help. We actually have a special program starting right now, kicking off, because our remote program is started now. Somebody left me a message. I just want to see what that says down there. I got it. It's not for me. So let me get back to what I was doing. So if you sign up for our remote coaching now, we are going to donate $50 to your local business of choice. So whatever your local business of choice, whatever it may be, we are going to donate $50 to that business or a charity, whatever makes you happy. Okay? We want to be able to support our local businesses at this time. So that's what we have going for you right now if you are interested in our remote coaching. So what I'd like to talk to you about today is because we're out there working out, right? And we're seeing all kinds of programs out there, and programs with equipment, programs without equipment, and all kinds of stuff. And I want to give you some ideas on how you can add resistance or make your program a little bit harder, okay? Because it's really important to progressively overload the systems. You need to make your workouts a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder for your body to adapt and get stronger and better. If it does the same old thing all the time, if you're still doing bicep curls with 12-pound dumbbells, you've been doing that for months, your body is bored, your mind is bored, and nothing is going to happen. So I want to give you some ideas of things that you can do other than just increasing the weight, okay, to make your workouts a little bit harder. Because we don't want to go through this effort and not get results. I mean that's the point of this, right? The point is to get results. So one of the keys to getting results, on top of a bunch of other things, is to progressively overload your system, to make the workout a little bit harder, make the body adapt, force the body to adapt. So there's about 8 ways we can do this, and I want to preface this by saying that if you do have an ultimate sandbag, if you have ultimate sandbags, there's a whole other way to progress your workouts, okay, other than just using the bag. Okay, using a heavier bag. The position of the bag makes a difference. How you hold the bag makes a difference. How your body is positioned makes a difference. All kinds of things with which handles you hold on the bag makes a difference. So there's all different ways you can do with the ultimate sandbag. We've talked about that before. If you scroll through our other podcast, you'll see that we talked about specific ways to make the ultimate sandbag exercises more difficult. But today I'm just going to talk about just some specific things, more in line with the type of stuff that people might have at home with them right now when they don't have the ability to utilize an ultimate sandbag, which is an awesome tool. If you do use that, you'll know what I'm talking about. So the first obvious thing is just to add resistance by increasing the weight. You can add maybe a weight vest if you're doing body weight exercises. You can, add a backpack with some books in it. You can add some band resistance. You can change your body position. For example, if you're doing a push-up, you can bring your feet up in the air. This is the hardest thing to do with limited equipment, right? But it's still the most effective choice. So if you don't have equipment, this is the hardest way to do it, right? Because you don't have other choices you don't have other equipment. You don't have instead of using 10-pound dumbbells, you don't have 15-pound dumbbells. So it's the most difficult. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about here, if you're doing a body weight squat, okay, now you're going to do a body weight squat by if the goblet position, you're holding a kettlebell right in front of your chest. Okay, you might do 2 sets, 10 reps, rest for 60 seconds in between, right? So That is just the example. Instead of a body weight squat, now I'm going to hold an implement, I'm going to hold a goblet, I'm going to hold a 10, 15 pound, 20-pound goblet, kettlebell to make the exercise a little bit harder. The second way to progress along would be to add repetitions. So you would keep the load the same, you would just add some repetitions. Maybe add 2 reps each week. So if you start now with 10 reps, the next week you go to 12 reps, you go to 14 reps, and etc. Now you don't want to be doing 20, 25 reps. That gets a little bit boring. It's not a way that we like to necessarily have the muscles adapt. We want to try to build some strength by lifting some heavier weights. But just for an example, if we had that goblet squat now, right? And before last week we were doing 10 reps. This week we're going to do 12 reps. Or if we were doing a push-up and then we elevated our feet to make the push-up harder, now we're going to elevate our feet on the push-up. Instead of doing 10 reps, we're going to do 12 reps. So the second way is to add repetitions. The third way, okay, is to add some sets. Pretty self-explanatory here, right? But by increasing the total volume, it's always good. It's always a good way to progress. So we started out with body weight exercise, right? 10 repetitions. Now we're holding our goblet, making it a little bit harder. 10 repetitions. Now we've added some repetitions. We're going to 12 reps, 2 sets. So now in week 4, maybe we're going to add, instead of adding repetitions, and we don't have any more weight to lift, now we're going to add sets. So instead of doing 2 sets, we're going to do 3 sets. Obviously, that's going to be harder, right? So we've progressively along here, make it a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder, right? So the fourth way that we can make this hard, okay? And it's the easiest way to do it, especially if we don't have any extra weights laying around the house, is to reduce the rest period between our sets or to increase the density. So you might want to think about cutting 10 seconds off your rest period. So if before we were doing goblet squats, right, and we're doing 3 sets of 12, instead of resting for 60 seconds, now we're going to rest for 50 seconds in between our exercises. So in case we're doing a goblet squat, and then we're doing our push-ups, our feet elevated push-ups, 12 reps. Instead of 60 seconds in between, we cut it down to 50 seconds. And then maybe you cut it down to 40 seconds, if that's how you want to progress it. The fifth way, it's a way that I use often, okay? Generally, when we're working with a little bit older clientele, and not to be politically incorrect here, maybe it was females, sometimes the weights just get so heavy, like in that goblet squat, they can't hold any more weight, or that sandbag is so big, they just physically can't hold the weight to be able to perform the exercise. And we're in a repetition range that we want to be in, and we want to work some real strength, so we don't want to really cut our rest period. So the thing that we try to do is we slow down the movement. We especially slow down the movement in the lowering phase. So if you're squatting, we're going to squat down slower. Okay, so instead of just going down, pause, come on back up, we're going to come down to maybe a 3 count or 5 count. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pop back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pop back up. So whether you're doing a squat, we can be doing that goblet squat, 3 sets of 12, 50 seconds rest, but now we've changed the tempo. And the lowering phase, whether we're lowering the squat, whether we're lowering dumbbells in the press, whether we're lowering ourselves in our push-up, we're going to lower much slower. And that'll make the exercise much more challenging. So to really kick up that tempo, okay, another way to make the exercise a little bit harder is to add an isometric phase. So for example, if you're doing a squat, you're going to come down for that 3 seconds, and then you're going to pause at the bottom for maybe 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, and then pop back up. Or if you're doing a push-up, you're going to come down nice and slow, pause, and then pop back up, okay? You can do multiple pauses. You can come halfway down, you can have a quarter way down, and pause for 3 or 4 seconds. You come all the way down and pause, just at 90 degrees. Come back up to three quarters or halfway back up. And all of it, so it's there, pause, here, pause, there, pause. Again, we're really slowing it down. We're keeping the muscle under load longer, which is going to make it more challenging to do your exercises. And another way that we really like to use, especially when we're trying to get some people tired at a lower repetition range. So let's say we're trying to get someone tired in 8 reps, okay? And they just can't hold enough weight. And we're going down slow. The thing that we try to do is we use the 1.5 rep method. So in a squat, for example, you're going to come all the way down, okay? You're going to come halfway up. You're going to go all the way back down, and then you're going to go back to the top. So we say that again. We're going to come all the way down, pause, come halfway up, pause, go back down, pause, and then you pop all the way back up again. You can do that with any exercise, whether you're doing a push-up, whether you're using some dumbbells for your overhead press, squats, whatever it is. That 1.5 method is just going to burn up those muscles, and you're going to get tired. And then finally, the eighth method, okay, to make resistance a little bit harder, make the exercise harder without necessarily having more equipment or having equipment at all. It is using an explosive lifting portion. So you're going to lower slowly into your squat. And then use as much force as you can to pop back up, bring your feet right back up off the ground. So let's say, for example, it's a squat. You're going to squat down slowly. When you get to the bottom of that squat, you're going to pop up as fast as you can. Your feet actually will leave the ground, okay? Like a little bit jump squat, and then come back down again. This will really burn it out too. So that's the 8th way. So let's just review all those ways that we can change the workout, okay, to make it harder, maybe without equipment or with equipment. So the first one is add resistance. Yes, add some resistance. That's the easiest thing. But at home right now, we might not have that equipment. So if we want to progressively overload the systems, we want to make that body work a little bit harder, get some better results, we want to add some repetitions, right? Instead of doing 10 reps, now we do 12 reps. Next week, maybe 14 or 15 reps. When the repetition range is starting to get a little bit too high, maybe we can start to add some sets. So instead of doing 1 set, we start to do 2 sets. And then we start to do 3 sets. Much more than 3 sets with high repetitions probably isn't really super effective, so maybe you have to go back down and lower your repetitions. The 4th way is to increase our density. What that means is that we're going to lower the rest period in between each exercise. So we might do a squat for 50 seconds now, and we do a push-up for 50 seconds, and back and forth like that. The 5th way was to slow the movement down. So we're going to lower real slow, adjust that tempo, and then come on back up. Maybe lower your squat down for 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Make it even a little bit harder. Number 6 was to add an isometric phase. So when we get the bottom of that squat, we're just going to hold it 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is before we come on back up. The 7th way is to do the 1.5 method, where we come down, all the way down, halfway up, all the way down, and all the way up. And then finally, we're going to make an explosive portion. So there are some things that I hope will help you be able to increase the resistance of your workouts, make them a little bit harder so that you get better results, because that's what we're all about. We want to get results. Well, why take the time to do it if we're not going to get the results we're looking for? So that's what I have for you this week. If you need help, again, contact me. If you want to make a donation to a local business, jump onto our program, our new remote coaching program. We're going to give you app, videos of exercises, a program designed specifically for you. We're going to take all the confusion out of exercise. We're going to make it simple for you to exercise. Okay? We're going to do things that are going to give you results. We're going to keep you safe so you don't get hurt, and going to get you results. We'll talk about all lifestyle things when we remotely coach, just like we do when we coach in our facility. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, stress, the exercises themselves. So it's a full package. Contact me if you're interested. And if you need any help with anything, always get a hold of me. You know I'm here to help. That's why I do this business. And I appreciate you taking time. I hope everyone is safe. And you can look for me again next week at this hour, 3:30 on Tuesday, to give you more insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.